is there hope for the family? That's really what our discussion is on. And my wife, Dr. Rebecca Nganga, has been my wife for over 42 years. We got married in 1979. So we've done we are now 43rd year. But even that does not qualify me to talk on the topic. Because I've seen people who have been married for 50 years divorcing. Have you heard of them? It doesn't make sense. Surely you are about to die. So what are you divorcing about? But I've seen that this devil against families does not know age. You know, sometimes we think it's only the young people, only to find one of my age mates saying, you know, I can't stay with her again. Surely, you survived 40 years. You're just remaining a few. I'm not suggesting you are dying, but it's factual. Very few of us will be alive beyond 100. Am I right? So it's a very, very important question to ask. You know, the family is not our idea. The family is God's idea. There was a guy called Adam. He has been created. He is happy to be enjoying the Garden of Eden. But he is not aware there's something missing. It is God who said it is not good for a man to be alone. That tells you as bright as this guy was, as rich as Adam. And you know, Adam was very rich. Can you imagine the GDP per capita of that guy? You know what is GDP? It's the total wealth divided by population. Now, the total wealth of the world divided by 1. Can you see his GDP per capita? He was a very rich guy. But he was not aware there was something missing. And basically, God said, he is okay, but not okay enough. I want to make him a help meet. And that's some of the things that a lot of people who are married and having a few problems, that's what they miss. They actually go ahead divorcing only to discover that life after divorce is worse than no life in marriage. It's not too long ago, maybe in the last 10 years, that I went to speak in a church. And after the talk, when you in the pastor's place and you are talking, one of the leaders in the church came near me and said, I'm asking you a question whose answer I already know. I said, then why ask? But, you know, she told me, I was married. But I married this kind of guy going nowhere, a dependent. And after a lot of years, I said, I just got rid of him. But I was not born again. Said, I have none of his. That lady is a senior. No, let me not say the career in case I'm talking about your aunt. Now, is a senior person, wealthy, okay, in a house of her own. She has kicked away her husband. Before you are saved, there may be other things you can do because you become temporarily married by different people, different weeks. You know what I'm talking about. But if you are saved, if you divorce, it means you stay alone by choice. So obviously you must stay alone. She told me, life is so lonely, Brother Nganga. My title is normally Brother Nganga since I preached. The first time I preached is after I finished my Form 4, 1971. So I know I've been preaching for 50 years, but I've never been promoted beyond Brother Nganga. Now, so she said, Brother Nganga, I am so lonely. I wish the guy would be there doing nothing. Just to have somebody to talk to. I am okay financially, so I don't know what's wrong with me. To be a non-Christian is terrible, Brother Nganga. And I said, I agree with you. You need to know, and that's one I can give others. One is very unfortunate. Called me not too long ago. It's too sensitive for me to continue talking about it. Called us, because these are people we mentored 30 years ago. They were then living in Pastor 30 years ago, so we mentored them. Then after some time, you're on your own, so you don't mentor people forever. So they go on their own. In Kikuyu, we say, ne jui hore. Now, so these are chicks that are no longer need the mother. Are we together? So you don't talk to them, but you think they're okay. Until one time you are called. And you are told, do you know what? We're divorced. I said, you are not joking. These are people I knew as Christians in their university life, in their youth. What happened? So the lady says, you know, I can't blame brother so-and-so. I just got tired and told him he must divorce me. The guy pleaded, the guy begged, but the wife insisted she wants to be on her own. And they decided they will not tell us, because we are like mentors, we should not know. People of their age got to know. And then, at that time she's calling, she said, I'm so lonely. Please plead with, I know he listens to you. Plead with him to accept me back. Now, we rang the guy. He said, you know, I could never imagine I could end up in divorce myself. I am wounded. I'm actually going through therapy. Tell her to wait until I heal, then we can talk. Of course, our job is to go back. Say the same. No, he's being unreasonable. I am willing to come back. The mistake was mine. I don't want to continue with the story. But that's not the one. I can give you a third one. Of people after divorce trying to come back. Because life in divorce is not what you think, except if you're a non-Christian. I'm talking to Christians. If you're a non-Christian, you throw her away and pick another one, even younger and more beautiful. Now, but if you're a Christian, you throw her away so that you stay alone. Am I communicating? So, and I thought that's a message I wanted to give right at the introduction. You know, before you wed, you marry her because you love her. After all, I've never had anybody marrying somebody they don't like. So far, I haven't met one. So normally you marry her because you love her. But you know, according to the scriptures, after the wedding, you love her because you married her. Let me now finish this. Give the whole sentence. Give the whole sentence. Before the wedding, you marry her because after the wedding, you love her because once she is married, you don't marry her, you don't love her voluntarily. It's the word of God. Husbands, and it's not a suggestion, it is command. The same commandment says don't commit adultery. It's not telling you love your wife. If you break one, you are just like breaking. Yeah, that's what the book of James tells us. So that in hell, I can imagine, there will be people, and they normally have been locked up by the police. So I know people normally Mapusu ask each other, why are you here? And you, why are you here? Now, so I assume in hell there's something similar. And they ask each other, why are you here? Me. I can't ask why. I slept with so many women. I was an adulterer of the highest order. And you, why are you here? I did not love my wife. You need to understand, both of them broke a command. They will be in the same hell, same temperature. But this other guy did not at any time commit adultery. He simply disobeyed God's command, saying, love your wife. Am I communicating? And it's a very important thing to understand. Because as you, and of course I'm hoping there are some unmarried people here, because they are the ones I'm addressing myself to. Please stay single. Because if you get married, you enter a car without a reverse gear. It doesn't know how to reverse. It was manufactured without a reverse. Forward ever, backward? Never. And that's something you need to understand. So, and I want to start at that level to show you, it really does, there is no reason you can give for you to separate or be divorced. That's what we read today, isn't it? That there will be problems, but God will be with you in problems so that you don't give up. Did we read that in Corinthians? That's what we are discussing today. And the Bible is not telling you there will be no problem. It's telling you there will be there. But God will be there with you. And that needs to be understood right at the beginning. I have to give a disclaimer. I'm not suggesting if the guy is planning how to murder you, you stay there. Because if you die knowing he told you he'll kill you, and you stay there to be killed, you are committing suicide. And suicide is not scriptural. Are we together? So I'm not asking you to stay in that house when you know the guy is intending to kill you. So that's something that needs to be dealt with. But many of the people who are separating, death is not one of the things they are risking. He doesn't make me happy. Where is that in the Bible? Who told you that you married him so that he makes you happy? Your joy is supposed to come from God. And if you think it can come from a man, you are cheating yourself. He is fallen creation. He has his own weaknesses. Somebody called Roland Scrapp. He died the other day, but I really like his books. He has written a book on biblical foundation for counseling. And he says, no human being has the ability to carry the other person's problems. And so when you marry someone, you don't marry somebody to deal with your problems. You deal with somebody to live with. Because he has problems, you have your own problems. So can you imagine, you marry somebody about to fall, and then you put your weight on top. Both of you will fall. It needs to be understood. We don't marry. In fact, let's be clear. According to Lawrence Crabb, you don't marry somebody who is not complete. It has to be a woman that is complete and satisfied in herself, a man complete and satisfied in himself. When the two meet, nobody is depending on the other. They just share their love with one another. That's what a Christian marriage is all about. So you can't say that, oh, he doesn't give me this, he doesn't give me that, he doesn't do that. Those are the issues. But if there is violence and possibility of death, I do not encourage you to stay there. Of course, it may be similar if the guy is collecting HIV from every direction and wants to come to your bed. Obviously, I'm not advising you to stay there. Because at least if he dies, let him die alone. If you die both of you, what happens to your children? It's only once to allow him to die alone. Am I communicating? But many of the things that are causing people to be separate are not those two. And those are the things I came to talk about. To mention to you that marriage does not mean that it will always have good times. But from what I'm saying, you ask yourself, why then do we marry? Because I have to be very careful, I might discourage people marrying. Why then do we marry? If they are sure to have problems. And now, when you go to my website, you will see that I've written a book recently called How to Face Your Challenges in Marriage. And I've listed them. There are many challenges in marriage. So the question is, why marry? Number one, because God commanded it. There's no other way of propagating mankind other than getting married. So as a church, if you want to grow the church biologically, you know what I mean? Then we should make sure that every couple has 3 children. That way, they will be replaced and the church will grow. Am I communicating? Because the first 2 children are to replace them when they die in the church. And the third one will be increasing the church. So one of the reasons we get married is for biblical propagation of the 3. So that the most important thing is to understand that every couple are pastors preparing the future church. Are we together? So asking then, why get married? Because by getting married, you are assuring the church growth. If you are going, that's Malachi chapter 2, verse 15. And it's important for you to understand that. So it's commanded, it's a method of biological growth. But I want to say a few more things. The person you marry becomes your companion for life. And it then means you have somebody who will love you unconditionally. Because by marrying, you swear before God that you love her. Not because she is a good cook, even if her body is like soil. You have promised to love her. Isn't that what the pastors make us promise? So it means that that girl is assured of a man who, if they are going to be biblically attuned, they will love you even if you don't have anything lovable. And it's very important to understand that marriage is the only relationship where you don't have a reason to love. You just love the person the way they are. So if you have because you have many friends, my sister, you are not married, you have many friends, but all of them, If you behave, they'll be your friends. The moment you don't behave, they drop you like a hot potato. That's a normal relationship anywhere we can talk about. Until you marry one of the guys, and now, even if you are not qualified, he still has to love you. You have an accident, you lose your legs, he still has to stay with you. That's why the Bible created marriage. So there is somebody you can be with unconditionally for life. And it's very important to understand then that God knew we need people like that. Because you see, like I grew up in a family, that's just my wife grew up in a family. But by the time you have been married for 40 years, chances are none of your parents are alive. And in our case, all of them went. In fact about the first decade of this new millennium, one died after the other. 3 of them went within 10 years. 3 of them were gone. And it will be very important to understand that within no time, even if you knew your parents accepted you unconditionally, they will not be there. Am I right? So you get somebody who is your age mate, who, ceteris paribus, all holding all things constant, who will die nearer your time. So you stay together until both of you are going home. It's important to understand, I'm answering the question, why should we still get married despite the challenges? Because of this idea of a person who is going to accept you unconditionally and stay with you for life. Number 2, I want to tell you something. Even if you went to run in an Olympic and you got gold, but nobody knows you, you won't enjoy winning. Am I right? What makes somebody enjoy winning is to call Mom, Mom, I was #1. Oh, everybody is rejoicing. No, okay, they can rejoice because they are Kenyans, but there are people who care about you. Am I right? That's what makes joyful thing. Now, your husband is the only person where, if you get promoted, his income goes up. All the other people, you tell them you are promoted, they start feeling jealous. This one starts rejoicing. Am I communicating? That marriage was created such that there is somebody where competition does not play a role. You are both putting the goals into the same goalpost. You are going the same direction. My wife used to be a teacher 40 years ago. She used to teach in Boy Forces Academy, and so we had connections with the army people. And one of the things we learned about them is that many of the teachers were wives of the people in the airport. And you hear, so-and-so no longer talks to me. Why? Because the husband of one got promoted to the senior base. They used to meet in the junior base. As soon as the husband is promoted, the wife is also, and remember, she never went for military training. But she goes to the mess, her husband joins. He is junior, she's also junior. He is senior, she is also senior. And that's what marriage was meant for. Marriage was meant for someone who never competes with you. He rejoices with you and never has to compete. Now, your own relatives, your brother, I have talked in many families who tell me, you know, that guy who is insulting me, I am the one who educated them through high school, through university. They left my home as adults. But now, they're in trouble. There's a lot of competition. One of my friends got lost one of these redundancies. He was a banker, and he was a manager in the bank. He lost his job. And I was going house to house witnessing, which I tried to do. I went to his house, and then it's not like he was welcoming me that well. But finally, we were talking. And I don't know what I said and provoked him. The wife said, you know, I never imagined that my husband becoming redundant and jobless, the first one to rejoice would be the brothers. That is his mother's sons. They went home and told the father, hey, this one you thought was special, he is now jobless. Now they are rejoicing about their brother's joblessness. And they are rejoicing that in other words, the fact that he used his wealth to educate them, but they are not as wealthy as him yet. They feel like he has no idea about what it means to be poor. Now that's what competition is. Until you marry a girl whose wealth is your wealth, and your wealth is, that's Christian marriage. There's no competition. So it's a relationship that is special, a relationship that will help you in life, late into life. because your destinies have been tied together. And that's why, despite all the risks we are talking about in marriage and the challenges, the direction for anybody is get someone. However, back to my first point, you are not going there because you have a problem. You are going there because you are so full in God, and God is your supplier. You are looking for who to share your love with. You are not looking for somebody to love you. You are looking for somebody to care for. So that it will not be, oh, he doesn't care for me. I never went there to be cared for. I was looking for somebody to love and have somebody, and the worse he is, the more needy he is for love. So you love them even more. Am I communicating? That's really what we are looking for. And there's no joy like the joy of loving someone. You can have love, but if there's nobody to show the love to, there's a problem. Am I right? In marriage, God gives you somebody to love. Even if they appreciate the love or not is a secondary matter. You know, you're expected, and because you are respected, and because of that respect, you communicate better and you develop better. Where there's somebody who knows your weaknesses, knows you totally the way you are, and still loves you, it gives you courage to face the world. Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me? And that's really what we are looking for in marriage. And because of that idea of somebody, and that's why this idea of divorce has to be something, has to be fought, because God meant when you come here, you have a relationship that can give you security and confidence. Where out there there's competition, people are looking for ways of getting you fired. And I worked, I'll be 70 next year. So I worked before until they told me I was too old to work. But it's important to understand one of the toughest areas of working is the fact that the people above you don't want to come too close in case you replace them. The people below you are looking for your job, isn't it? And the ones at the same level are competing for the same promotion. Am I right? So the place of work is a war zone. Isn't it wonderful to go to home when it is no longer a war zone? That's what home is all about. Somewhere you can say, and you have somebody who can tell, by the way, today I left. I wrote a wrong signature. My company has got $1 million. And she'll say, is that what happened? Let's pray together. Because your wife, your husband is your personal counselor. You dare not share it with your bosses because they'll say, then it's time to fire me. You don't share with your juniors, but they'll say, hey, surely, there's hope for promotion. How can we keep somebody like that? And you can't share with your equals because then they will go to share why you cannot be promoted. Am I right? But you can share with your spouse. Am I communicating? And people without a good marriage end up easily in depression. They end up easily with stress problems because they have nobody or nowhere they can share the information in. And that's basically what marriage, Christian marriage, is all about. And you need to ask, is that what you do? You know, you're motivated by what your mate expects of you because the encouragement and love you envelop. So your life, you know, you have somebody to live with it. And so somehow you're motivated to be better because there will be somebody who claps for you when you win the gold. Are we together? So the idea of being in a marriage relationship is having somebody who can clap for you, encourage you, and you'll reach much higher heights than if you actually never got married. Because you don't have anybody. I'm doing all this, for what? But when there's somebody who encourages you, who appreciates you, there are things that you can do and become better. So you have a purpose in life to live for, and it's going to encourage you. You are fulfilled as you see those in your circle mature and become people with integrity and faith, the people who are your children. And so that whole thing I'm emphasizing is security. Have I convinced you marriage is worth it? Have I communicated that God did not mean evil in asking us to enter into marriages? And that's why he made sex, which is very enjoyable, we are told. I'm telling those who are single. But he makes something wonderful and says, hey, wait, until you are ready to be harnessed and to be put pingu I think they call it Pingu ya Maisha. Is that what they call the wedding? Pingu ya deliberately allow the handicaps for life. Now, until you do that, anytime you have sex, you are booking a location in hell. Sex outside marriage is one sure way of ensuring you are going to hell. And yet sex is okay. But he made it such that you have a reason to get married, because these are things that cannot happen. And it's very interesting. In the morning, if you dare sleep with that guy, you are going to hell. Then Pastor Pinto weds you. In the afternoon, go and do it, and you're going to heaven. Now, what has changed? What has changed is sex is only allowed after you pingu your maisha. Are we together? You must also commit. But he has promised. That's why even 2 days before the wedding, you still will be sinning, because you must first of all harness yourself for life. Pingu your maisha. Then after that, it can actually happen. And I'm trying to get you to see that in the process, if you understand what the Word of God is telling you, you need to understand marriage was created as a way of helping. However, I do still admit, like I said in my introduction, that marriage has many, many challenges. You have infidelity. When you yourself are holy, walking right, you get a woman who says, I'm not satisfied in him. How would the sex be if it was with somebody else? And I want to tell you, infidelity is one of the biggest blows to many marriages. And you need to understand that just like you cannot have sex with somebody you are not married to, after you are married, you can't have sex outside that particular bond. But that's one of the challenges that's causing us to lack hope. Another issue is money. Money is one of the most frequently cited reasons for conflict. Why money? Because again, we don't have biblical marriages. We have marriages by Christians, quote unquote. In other words, you have two saved people, but their marriage is not saved. They run their marriage just like a Luya marriage. No difference. If you ask that man what he thinks about marriage and ask his great-grandfather, they are in agreement. The Bible does not touch his values. His idea of marriage is the same. So you have many people, and that's part of what is happening. For example, you know the Word of God, and that's not my topic today. The Word of God says, when the two come together, they become one. And yet there are people seated here, and they don't even know what their husband earns. They're not married. They are pretending to be married. They're actually not married. Because you cannot be married and not become, and you can't be one. Let me put it better. You are not married until your pockets are married. So until your pockets marry, you are not yet married. But that idea of the pockets not marrying will create a hefty number of problems. Many of them are the ones causing the trouble. And you know, as I'm talking like this, some husbands are saying, Brother Nganga, talk. Tell them. Because the idea is that the idea of working together, becoming one, is to become the husband. No. When the two become one, they don't become the husband. They become a couple. And what that means is that your wife's salary cannot enter into your account. You have to open a separate one that's controlled by both of you. And many husbands don't want to be controlled. They just want the salary of the wife to enter into his. That's unbiblical. Because he did not say that the two shall become one and become the husband. Am I communicating? And that's part of where the problem's coming. Because the moment you put your money together, it means you cannot surprise your wife with a gift she never authorized. Have you heard sometimes a pastor in church comes and says, hey, clap for Brother Nganga. What? He bought his wife a car. Now what the pastor is not telling the whole congregation is Nganga is a thief. And he's used part of the money he stole to buy his wife a car. Because the truth is, the day of the wedding, the pastor tells you to say, and you say after him very happily, I give you her all my worldly possessions. Isn't that what we say in the wedding? Now, once you have given everything, where did you get the money to buy her car? You are declaring to everybody, you are a thief who stole family money. Now, those are the issues. So we are ending up with the couples where you have and that's what, you have a very rich woman with a very poor husband. That marriage has no future. Marriage was not meant for people in different economic social classes getting married. The moment you marry, you now enter into one social class. You are equally rich or equally poor. But a lot of people are not wanting, they want to have marriage, but not a Christian one. That's why my other book, if you're interested in my book, is called Marriage, Christian or Tradition. Because you have to make up your mind. Here we are saying that there is hope for a Christian marriage. And it is you who decide whether you want a Christian marriage. And in a Christian marriage, finances are managed together. You are equally rich or equally. It means that, my brother, you cannot decide to buy a plot until you sort it out with your wife. Because it's our money. Oh, brother Ganga, he answered me a part of my salary. You see, Christian marriage is like communism. You produce according to ability, you use according to need. It's not communism. And that's what you need to understand. It doesn't matter who brought more money into the family account. What is there is our money. And you cannot use it without clearing. But she's earning less, that's irrelevant. Now she's the owner. And you must seek her permission. And that many of the people are running different economies. And it's creating a lot of trouble in the marriage. Because in the process, you don't see why you consult your wife. It's my money. I can do with my money whatever I want. But then what you have is not a Christian marriage. And it will be important that we understand. Unfortunately, my time is up. Even as I'm starting, I have to find a way of finishing. You know, what makes this marriage business harder is the fact that when couples are under a lot of stress because of various problems, they tend to only do the necessary things for day-to-day survival. And their relationship fades into the background. They have no time for each other. You are going through a crisis, there's somebody sick, there's a child who is sick, there's lack of money, and you start concentrating on the problem so seriously. You forget the reason you married was not for the problem, but for each other. The deliverable in a marriage is companionship. What Adam lacked is not capital. What he lacked is human being. Am I communicating? So the most important deliverable, my brother, is, are you available to your wife as a companion? The worst thing a wife can say about you is that he is not available. It does not matter how many cars you have given, doesn't matter how old. That was not the reason. Women can make money without you. What they can't do without you is loneliness. And it will be important to understand that if you really are going to have the marriage God wants, you will not allow the problems of life to deprive you from time for each other. That means you have a sick child, you have done your best. Once in a while you leave the sick child and go for a date. Now, brother, that's wrong. No, remember, the child is important, but it's not as important as the relationship between you and your wife. And it will mean that whatever child, but we have to take our children to Harvard, and it's very expensive. No, taking your child to Harvard is secondary. Most important is, are you having time for one another? We talk about hope for our marriages. And we are looking at what is making us lack hope. One of them is not being interested in one another. The most important thing in marriage is, are you having time for one another? I used to say very interesting, if you are in Nairobi in the 1970s, there used to be a place called Tusker, where many dates, because Tusker is where all the buses come. So your girlfriend comes, you come from there, you meet there, then you agree where to go. My friend, when you met as poor, we have straight from the university, you still had enough money for tea and madasa. And you always took her out. Now you are 40 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, you are richer. But look at the last 1 month. Did you ever take her out? It's not lack of money, it's lack of interest. I want to tell you, whatever you used to do and enjoy is what you should be doing and enjoy. So there is hope for our marriage when you don't outgrow investing in one another. You used to enjoy being with your husband, but now you have children, 3 of them, or is it 5 of them? Now, they are taking so much of your time. Your husband is feeling like a foreigner in his own home. My sister, Thank you for looking after those children. But you could easily be on your way to hell. Because God will ask you, what did you do? You asked me for a husband, yes. When did you last talk to him? Oh, but I've been living with your children. There was no time you were allowed to divorce your husband so that you concentrate on his sons. Am I communicating? It will be important to understand, even I went through Alliance High School, and you know, in our time, almost 90% of the teachers were white people. And, of course, that's 50 years ago. But the thing is, we copy many wrong things the white people are doing. But some things we are doing, we should have copied, we didn't. Do you know even when I was in Form 6, because I was a Christian boy, one of the Wazungus would come, because their young families were young, say, John, can you come and do your homework in my house so that when my child wakes up, you can help deal with them? So I'll be left with biscuits, which were not very easy to get, and chocolate and everything. I was given a whole day with my homework and told what to do when the child wakes up. Fortunately for me, no child ever woke up. But they always, when they used to go to Nairobi Day, oh, today is our Nairobi Day, can you come to our house? But many men who are trained by those white people don't have an Nairobi Day. Am I communicating? Let me ask you, which is the day out when you ignore your children? Even babies, you just leave them to be their mother. Okay, you can't do it quickly, like those Alliance teachers. You do it once every 2 weeks. Okay, go, we have 2 of them. What about once a month? Is there something you actually cancel every day? And you're not just canceling useless things. You are canceling things that are very, you know, to invest in life or in one another. And your family marriage is having problems. But you're the one that is pushing the problem. Because you are not investing in them. You know, focusing your energy in the crisis just swallows you into the crisis. Eventually, they may get worn down to the point where they feel alienated from one another, and they no longer are living like husband and wife. Another problem during the crisis, because you're talking about the marriages in crisis, is keeping the score. It is one of the worst things you can do, because marriage partners rarely are supposed to keep scores fair, and they don't keep it fairly. You know, yes, last week you told me, then the previous week you told me, then this one you told me, all the wrong things your husband said. Somehow, we don't keep a record of things he did right. Am I right? My friends, you must keep a short account with people. If so your husband does something wrong, tell him it is wrong. Whether he repents or doesn't, forgive him. You will not carry it in your head. So next time he sins, it will not be in addition to. It will be a new one. Am I communicating? And you'll find it much easier to handle it. But when it's accumulated, you need to understand the importance of short accounts with one another. You know, when I started working, I used to wonder, I did a business course, and I used to wonder, how do the people talk about the man being on the corner? You have heard of man being in the corner? You know, surely you know your salary. Why can't you last to the following month when you get the next one? The truth of the matter is, even a bill as cheap, like those times, my water bill was, I think, 20 shillings, after shillings in the 70s. Now, if you don't pay it in time, of course the salaries were also low. If you don't pay it on time, in 7 months, it will be in hundreds. They will come to disconnect the water, and even if you wanted to pay, you don't have the capacity. Am I right? That's the same thing with the problems you're having in marriage. When they accumulate, they could become a bill that you need to take a loan to repay. And when you don't tell your husband what's wrong now, and pardon you, and you keep accumulating, it will reach a level you feel, no, I can't stay with this man. I'm made better off on my, even when it's obvious we are going to be doing, you will choose to divorce rather than stay there because you accumulated problem. Now, obviously, if the guy does not change, you don't, since you love him very much, and you don't know if you got well, and if he is ignoring your complaints, it means he's backsliding. Because if there's something wrong he's doing and he's not even sorry, remember what you do wrong to others, you are doing to God, isn't it? That's what he said, that when anytime you do a small thing to anyone or little, you are doing, that's Matthew chapter 25, you know it. So you need to understand, when you don't do something for your wife may not even complain, but your wife belongs to God, who will complain on her behalf. And he will handle you perpendicularly. So if you love your husband, don't allow him to go to hell. Find a way of towing him. I'm not telling you that for me. I'm worried about you. You behave like that, and you'll be a candidate for hell. I don't want to go there. Now, if it is that serious, he ignores you, go and look for a friendly couple. Do you have a couple's fellowship here? Do you have a couple's fellowship in church? Look for somebody whom you trust and say, now that we don't seem to communicate, can we call the ngangas and see whether they can help us? Of course, the guy could dismiss you, isn't it? Now you call the pastor, isn't it? We are now in Matthew chapter 18. There's a process. But for you to keep with it and divorce him without any effort, you become a participant of the divorce. Am I right? You need to understand that if you are, that's what they call fighting for your marriage, you must do your best because you love him enough for him not to go to it. And you start divorcing him. Within no time, he's running on his way, and there will be a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, my time is up. I was given 40 minutes, and it's 41 minutes gone. But I hope you can pick one of my books, because one of the books I wrote recently is Long-Term View of Marriage, looking at it long-term. And if you don't have money to buy, just go to my website, and you'll find the notes free of charge. And if you don't like buying in bookshops, you can get it from Amazon, because I think the topic is very, very important. I'll really encourage you to invest in it. Whether you are married or not married, it's important to understand marriage.